Lysura crouched on the jagged cliff of Rin, her armor glinting under the twin suns as if the metal itself was mocking the humans below. She flexed her long, delicate fingers, the kind that could crack a skull or cradle a delicate alien blossom, and muttered under her breath, "And they call themselves listeners." Her ears twitched instinctively, catching the faint vibrations of distant engines across the valley. If humans had half her sensory acuity, they might have noticed the swarm of Zarvak's drones approaching like dark, metallic locusts, their articulated wings humming a song of inevitable destruction. But humans didn't, and that was precisely her problem. She activated her comm unit, a slim device that wrapped around her wrist and projected a holographic map of the encampment below. Her voice cut through the static, sharp and commanding. "All units reposition. Zarvak's vectors converging. This is not a drill unless you enjoy being turned into molten scrap." A long pause followed. Only the usual crackle of empty channels returned. She rolled her eyes, the violet and silver strands of her hair shifting like liquid light as she exhaled. "Fantastic. Ignore the alien with tactical acumen. Always a solid strategy." She leaned back on her heels and surveyed the horizon, thinking bitterly that humans and their bureaucracy were the universe's worst kind of hazard. Drones were one thing, but humans arguing over insignias in the middle of a war zone. That required a level of stubborn absurdity that even she, seasoned warrior of 5-star systems, could barely comprehend. One human sergeant, she recalled, spent 10 minutes debating whether their battle flag should have a triangular corner or rounded edges, while Zarvak's fire burned through their outer perimeter. Lysura had resisted the urge to beam him into a sand dune barely. A sudden shimmer in the air caught her attention. A reconnaissance drone, far too small to warrant concern, darted past her at impossible speed. She smirked. At least someone's awake. Her mind raced, already calculating intercept vectors, potential blind spots, and the probability of a successful ambush if the humans continued to nap through protocol. She tapped a sequence on her comm bracelet and sighed when she heard nothing in response. "Humans," she muttered, "proof that even universal translators can't fix selective hearing." Then, almost imperceptibly at first, a signal came back, a hesitant, garbled voice that didn't belong to her allies. She froze, her ears twitching as the vibration hit a specific frequency she had been monitoring for weeks. "Is anyone there?" The voice asked, uncertain but unmistakably human. Lysura raised an eyebrow. That tone, nervous curiosity mixed with the faintest hint of wonder, was something she hadn't encountered in her dealings with humans for decades. She tapped her wrist again, this time with practiced precision, ensuring her voice came through clear and commanding. "Yes, I hear you. About time, Lieutenant." A pause, then. I think I heard something on the comm, but are you real?" Kale's voice, tentative and almost sheepish, carried across the vast, empty canyon, making her suppress a laugh. "Real? Do I sound like a hologram? I promise, coffee not included," she replied, her tone laced with dry amusement. The corners of her mouth lifted, something she rarely allowed herself in the field. The human chuckled nervously. "Right, coffee. Yeah, okay, I hear you. What do you suggest?" Lysura pinched the bridge of her nose, her ears flattening briefly in mock exasperation. "First, stop treating me like some cosmic prank call. Second, do exactly what I say or your squad becomes target practice. Third, try not to trip over your own holomap while the drones swoop." Kale's nervous laugh carried warmth, almost like the sunless forests of his homeworld, but far less lethal. He muttered something under his breath about aliens having a sense of humor. Lysura twitched a small smile in response. "Yes, we do, and sarcasm, lots of sarcasm. You'll get used to it, maybe." As Kale scrambled to relay her instructions, Lysura adjusted her stance on the cliff, scanning the horizon. Shadows danced in the distance, Zarvaks, moving in formations that were both terrifyingly efficient and, ironically, slightly predictable. She calculated intercept trajectories and potential blind spots, her mind a machine of precision. Yet she found herself glancing at Kale's holographic coordinates, imagining the poor human stumbling over his own 2 feet while trying to implement her suggestions. A chuckle escaped her throat, though she quickly masked it behind a curt command. Deploy drones in a sweeping arc. Avoid direct engagement until my signal. Yes, Kale, that includes your squad. No wandering off like headless Terrans. Kale responded, a nervous but determined cadence in his voice. Copy that, Lysura. Sweeping arc, yes. Headless, understood. He paused. Wait, why do you sound so amused? She flicked a hand toward the horizon, where the twin suns reflected off the cliffs like molten gold. Because watching a human attempt to multitask under pressure is like observing a baby star trying to orbit a neutron star. Fascinating, terrifying, and slightly ridiculous all at once. As the minutes stretched, Lysura guided Kale through maneuvers, correcting his missteps with a mix of sharp precision and wry commentary. Each time a drone got too close, she swatted it aside with her wrist-mounted energy blade, tossing quips like, "Humans, remind me never to hire you as my bodyguard." Kale replied with laughter through static, his nervous energy slowly turning into confidence. A rhythm began to form, alien intuition and human unpredictability intertwining like strands of an intricate dance. The first skirmish broke out as a cluster of Zarvak's drones veered toward the encampment. Lysura's ears picked up the subsonic hum of their engines before any human sensors detected them. Kale, left flank. Sweep 20 degrees and deploy decoy pulses. Now, she barked. Kale hesitated for a microsecond, then executed the maneuver, accidentally dropping his holomap onto his own foot. Lysura barked a laugh, sharp and musical, which somehow carried over the calm. Yes, brilliant. Now your foot is part of the strategy. Kale groaned but laughed too, the tension easing for just a moment. Together, they guided the human squad through the ambush, blending alien foresight and human improvisation. Lysura quipped about the absurdity of humans still debating insignias, while plasma blasts whistled past, and Kale retaliated with jokes about alien fashion sense and dangerously long ears. The humor acted as a buffer, tempering fear and creating a fragile bridge of trust. Every shared laugh, every sarcastic comment, was a step closer to mutual understanding, proving that even in war, connection could thrive where bullets and plasma failed. As the skirmish ended, Lysura perched on her cliff once more, watching Kale's squad regroup below. Not bad, human, you might just survive this century. Kale's voice, steady now, came through the calm. Thanks, Lysura. Couldn't have done it without you. She paused, something unfamiliar stirring, a faint warmth that was not anger, not annoyance, but respect, acknowledgement. And in that moment, the vast canyon, the twin suns, the approaching darkness of Zarvak's fleets, all of it felt a little smaller because someone had finally heard her. And she, in turn, had heard him. Lysura landed lightly on the plateau above the human encampment, her boots kicking up tiny clouds of iridescent dust that shimmered under the dual suns. Kale's squad, still shaking off the adrenaline from the ambush, watched her with a mixture of awe and mild terror. Don't worry, Lysura said, her tone dripping with mock reassurance. I don't bite unless provoked. Or unless you try to steal my energy rations. Then all bets are off. She could see the soldiers exchanging nervous glances, one of them whispering something about aliens being seriously overdramatic. Lysura twitched her ears. Overdramatic, perhaps, but effective, always effective. Kale jogged up to meet her, dragging a malfunctioning drone behind him like a child reluctant to enter school. You're fast, he said, trying to catch his breath. Lysura smirked, letting her long ears flick back in mild amusement. Fast enough to dodge a plasma net, yes, but slow enough to give humans the illusion of competence. You should consider it a gift. Kale rolled his eyes, though a grin betrayed him. I think I've been assigned to the sarcastic alien boot camp. Lysura clicked her tongue. You've been drafted into the intergalactic school of survival, Lieutenant. Orientation includes mockery, danger, and unsolicited wisdom. And coffee, if we ever find some edible beans in this quadrant. The atmosphere lightened as they walked toward the command tent, Lysura hovering slightly above the ground thanks to her anti-gravity boosters, which made her look both regal and absurd. Kale's squad followed, occasionally tripping over cables or bumping into hovering crates. "Really, humans," Lysura muttered under her breath, audible only through the comm to Kale, "you could turn a stroll into an obstacle course." Kale snorted. "Hey, we're flexible, mostly." Lysura snorted in return, a sound like wind over glass. "Flexible, that explains the last 10 minutes of chaos." Inside the command tent, holographic screens floated in midair, displaying enemy vectors, terrain schematics, and a dizzying array of interstellar stats. Lysura tapped a few panels with the precision of a surgeon, rerouting power to shields and scanning for weak points in the approaching Zarvax formations. "We're looking at a two-pronged assault," she explained to Kale, "plus a secondary infiltration squad. If we synchronize your artillery with my drone strikes, we can create a feedback loop that will scramble their targeting systems long enough to—" Wait, Kale interrupted, holding up a hand as he squinted at the holomaps. "Feedback loop, scrambled targeting systems. Are you speaking English or alien?" Lysura tilted her head, her ears twitching like antennas for patience. "It's English with a hint of survival. Translate loosely. If we do exactly what I say, you might not die horribly today." Kale blinked, then smiled faintly. "Ah, got it. Die horribly avoided, I can do that." Lysura grinned, a rare and dangerous expression. "See, you're learning." Over the next hour, they ran simulations, Lysura's sarcasm punctuating every command like punctuation in a chaotic sentence. "No, Kale, don't fire the plasma cannon into your own camp. Trust me, it's frowned upon." Kale raised his hands defensively. "Noted. I will try to avoid friendly fire or at least limit it to minor burns." Lysura flicked a glance at him, amusement sparkling in her amber eyes. "Minor burns are subjective. Ask any Zarvex drone." They stepped outside to deploy a small squad of recon drones. Lysura's hands moved like dancers over her wrist console, sending drones in spiraling formations above the dunes. "Keep your eyes open," she said, "and your feet on solid ground. It's amazing how humans trip over flat terrain, truly inspiring." Kale jogged alongside her, dodging a small rock that somehow leapt at him from nowhere. "I think it's a law of physics that the universe conspires against my feet," he muttered. Lysura's laugh came like a soft chime. "Yes, the universe has a sense of humor, just like me." The Zarvax ambush hit sooner than expected. A wave of sleek obsidian drones shimmered in the air, moving with frightening speed. Lysura's ears picked up the subsonic frequencies of their engines, and she barked orders. "Drones left. Sweep in a 20-degree arc. Kale, deploy decoys now." Kale activated the holographic emitters, sending shimmering illusions across the sand, while Lysura's drones swarmed, cutting off the real attackers. One Zarvax drone veered off course and collided with another, exploding in a shower of sparks. Kale muttered, "Did we do that?" Lysura's grin stretched wide. "We did, human, and you didn't even trip over the decoys. Progress." They pressed forward, moving through the chaos with a strange, synchronized rhythm. Lysura's precision and Kale's improvisation created a strange, effective partnership. At one point, a Zarvax plasma beam nearly grazed Kale's shoulder. Lysura extended a wrist-mounted energy shield with the flick of her fingers, muttering, "Really, humans, must you play dodgeball in actual battles?" Kale winced but laughed. "I'm getting the hang of it, I think." Lysura tilted her head, ears flicking, and said, "Think is dangerous, but for now acceptable." As the skirmish waned, they found a moment of respite on a ridge overlooking the battlefield. The dual suns cast long shadows over twisted wreckage, but Lysura's voice cut through the lingering tension. "Not bad for a day's work. You're improving at listening, and your squad didn't accidentally shoot the terrain. I consider that a moral victory." Kale shook his head, still panting. "I don't know whether to be proud or terrified of your compliments." Lysura flicked her ears with exaggerated exasperation. "Take both. Compliments from an alien warrior are like rare crystals, dazzling, dangerous, and probably worth dying for, figuratively speaking." Kale laughed despite the dust and adrenaline, a sound that carried hope. A sudden ping from her wrist console alerted Lysura to a secondary infiltration squad closing in behind their lines. She gestured sharply. "We have guests, preferably ones that explode on arrival. Kale, ready your artillery." He scrambled to activate a nearby cannon, sending a pulse of concentrated energy toward the incoming units. Lysura's drone streaked through the air, intercepting any stragglers, while she barked a running commentary. "Yes, aim higher. No, not at the sand again. Oh, that's delightful, sand everywhere. You humans really know how to make a mess." Kale groaned but smiled. "It's an art form, apparently." By the time the infiltration squad was neutralized, Lysura and Kale's unlikely partnership had solidified into something unspoken but undeniable. They moved with mutual understanding, the alien intuition and human improvisation meshing like a finely tuned machine. Lysura glanced at Kale, a small flicker of amusement in her amber eyes. "You're tolerable for a human, and remarkably competent when you actually pay attention." Kale gave a mock salute. "I aim to please my alien overlord." Lysura clicked her tongue. "Overlord, yes, but keep your head down and we might just survive until dinner." As night fell over the barren ridges of Virin, their laughter and banter continued over the calm channels, carrying above the faint hum of recharging drones and settling fires. Somewhere between the danger, the sarcasm, and the occasional explosions, a fragile bond had formed, proof that listening, truly listening, could bridge even the most impossible of divides. And Lysura, perched on the ridge, ears twitching, allowed herself the briefest, most dangerous thought. Maybe humans weren't completely hopeless after all. The Zarvax swarm had gathered over the horizon like a living storm, their obsidian wings cutting through the twin suns' glare, casting fleeting shadows over the scarred plains of Virin. Lysura hovered above the ridge, her armor gleaming, long ears flicking as she scanned every microfrequency of their engines. Beside her, Kale adjusted the targeting arrays, his movements more confident now, more precise. The nervous uncertainty of earlier days had solidified into a rhythm born of shared survival, a strange synchronization between human instinct and alien foresight. "Ready, Lieutenant?" Lysura asked, her voice carrying a rare note of anticipation. Kale gave a lopsided grin. "As ready as I'll ever be for the galaxy's worst group project." Lysura barked a laugh. "Yes. Call it the interspecies collaboration exercise. Extra credit for survival." The first wave struck with a terrifying, almost elegant speed. Zarvax plasma streaked the air, slicing through the twilight with lethal accuracy. Lysura twirled through the air, her anti-gravity boosters propelling her like a wraith, deflecting beams with a wrist-mounted shield, and cutting down drones with precise, almost balletic strikes. Each movement carried her signature mix of lethal efficiency and sardonic commentary. "Oh, fabulous," she shouted over the comm, narrowly dodging a plasma spear. "You almost hit my favorite sand dune." "Careful, humans, those dunes have feelings too." Kale barked a laugh, coordinating artillery strikes that sent decoys flying and disrupted enemy formations. "Noted. Sand feelings acknowledged, Captain Lysura." They moved as a single unit, the rhythm of battle interwoven with bursts of humor. Lysura's drones swooped in fractal patterns, drawing enemy fire, while Kale's squad executed evasive maneuvers with a precision that would have surprised any observer. One particularly aggressive Zarvax drone nearly clipped Kale, prompting Lysura to snipe it mid-flight. "Try not to make this a habit," she teased. "I'm running low on sarcasm and plasma ammo." Kale, grinning through grit and sweat, replied, "I'll try, but no promises." The second wave of Zarvax approached from an unexpected vector, forcing Kale to improvise. Lysura barked instructions as she twisted through the air, her ears flaring like sails. "Left flank, Kale. Overload your shields and fire decoy pulses in sequence. Yes, that exact sequence. Your improvisation is adorable, but I like it when it's organized." Kale's squad surged, synchronizing their shields and countermeasures with her drone maneuvers. Sparks and plasma flares erupted across the battlefield, and Lysura's laughter rang out above the chaos. "I must admit, human, your capacity for accidental brilliance is remarkable, also terrifying." During the lull, as the drones recalibrated, Kale found a brief moment to breathe and look at Lysura. She hovered gracefully, almost serene despite the carnage around them, the glow of her amber eyes reflecting determination tempered with amusement. "You're different now," he said. "I mean, you're still terrifying, but you're human in a way. I don't know how to explain it." Lysura cocked her head, ears twitching. "Human. Flattery is a dangerous tool, Lieutenant, but I'll allow it. I am learning that even humans can be worth listening to. That's rare." Kale smiled. "And I've learned that maybe aliens aren't all doom and sarcasm. Some actually care." Lysura allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible nod. "Care is a luxury, human, but sometimes it's necessary." The final assault hit with full force. Zarvax drones poured in from all sides, weaving between firestorms and crumbling terrain. Lysura and Kale moved in perfect unison, an intricate dance of firepower, wit, and instinct. A particularly massive drone, larger than the rest, dove straight for Kale's position. Lysura surged forward, intercepting it midair with her energy blade, spinning and slicing with precision that sent sparks and plasma fragments scattering. "Careful, Lieutenant," she shouted. "Try not to trip over me while I save your life again." Kale, scrambling backward, retorted, "Noted. You're now officially my hazard warning system." They pushed forward, coordinating a feedback loop that overloaded the Zarvax targeting systems. Lysura's drones interlaced with Kale's artillery pulses, creating a cascading disruption that turned the tide of the battle. The swarm faltered, confused by the precise yet unpredictable countermeasures. "See that, human?" Lysura shouted with triumph. "This is what happens when someone finally listens." Kale, laughing despite the dust and adrenaline, replied, "I hear you, Lysura, loud and clear." The Zarvax, overwhelmed and disoriented, began a retreat. The battlefield grew silent except for the hum of damaged drones and the occasional sizzling plasma residue. Lysura landed beside Kale, her long ears flicking as she surveyed the aftermath. "Well," she said, voice carrying dry amusement, "not a single accidental explosion into our own camp. I'd call that a victory." Kale shook his head, still panting. "We did it together." Lysura allowed herself a rare, genuine smile. "Together, yes, humans can surprise you, sometimes in the best ways." As the night settled, Lysura and Kale stood overlooking the scorched plains, twin suns dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows over the battlefield. The human squad, though exhausted, moved with renewed confidence, their trust in the alien warrior solidified. Kale looked at Lysura, the faintest smirk on his lips. "So, coffee, or is that still off the table?" Lysura tilted her head, ears twitching. "Coffee is negotiable, but only if you promise not to spill it in the middle of combat, and maybe, just maybe, I'll teach you patience." Kale laughed, a sound that carried relief and camaraderie. "I think I can handle that, maybe." Lysura's gaze lingered on the horizon, amber eyes reflecting the dying light. For centuries she had fought alone, her voice ignored, her warnings dismissed. But now one human had truly heard her, had responded not with skepticism but with action, empathy, and humor. And in that act, the alien warrior realized something she had rarely allowed herself to acknowledge. That recognition could be as powerful as weapons, that listening could alter the course of war, and that connection, no matter how improbable, could exist between species, even in the heart of conflict. She flicked her wrist, recalling the drones and securing the perimeter. "We survived today, Lieutenant, not by luck but by listening. You've grown remarkably." Kale grinned. "And you've learned humans aren't completely hopeless." Lysura clicked her tongue. "Barely, but progress is relative." They shared a brief laugh, the tension of battle fading into a fragile peace. As the stars began to twinkle over Virin, Lysura allowed herself one final thought. Maybe the universe wasn't as indifferent as she had always believed. Maybe, just maybe, a single voice could make a difference. And that difference, when met with understanding, courage, and a little humor, could change everything. The battlefield was quiet, the humans safe, the Zarvax in retreat, and Lysura's ears twitched in the soft wind, a reminder that she had been heard, and that one human had changed the course of her long, war-torn life. She turned to Kale.